Hi everybody, Gumby here. Earlier this week on the forum mixedmartialarts.com, somebody posted up judgmental, any of you roll with Renzo. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of relate this because I think I'm a little bit unique in this, that I've not only rolled with Renzo Gracie fairly early on in my career, I've rolled a number of times with Ralph Gracie and I've rolled with Ryan Gracie. Truth is, I've actually rolled with a number of Gracies before, but I think these three are interesting ones because they're full brothers, same father, Hobson Gracie, now the oldest living Gracie right now, and same mother. So it'd be fun to kind of talk about the experience of rolling with each of these guys and the different styles that they had. Now, full disclosure, I am a Ralph Gracie black belt. I'm actually one of the early Ralph Gracie black belts, about 9 or 10 depending on how you count. And I've trained with Ralph for a little over 20 years now. And I got to say that every time you roll with Ralph, it's not exactly what you would describe as a pleasant experience. The guy is known for his pressure and his ability to kind of smash in his game and make everything feel unpleasant. That's a style right there. It was often said, like in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, that you have the opportunity to subdue and control an opponent without really hurting him. I think Hal's philosophy was to try to inflict the maximum amount of pain possible in every situation. His top pressure, for example, is side control. You know, he fought at lightweight, probably walks around 170 to 180 these days. I can't quite explain, even though he's shown me a number of times, how he feels so damn heavy when he's on top. It's really something that you almost feel like you're tapping from that. And I've been underneath a lot of people. House pressure still feels like one of the most devastating pressures I've ever felt. On top of that, he's extraordinarily strong. Not just in terms of just grappling strength, which is a given, but his physical strength is really underrated. You can't tell it just by looking at him. But I've seen him do some things like just sheer physical strength that kind of blew my mind. One time in a guard passing drill, for example, he was talking about, I can't remember exactly how it came up, but he was able to pick me up, hold me at arm's length above his head, away from himself, and kind of shake me from that position. As I was kind of curled up in a ball because he picked me straight up off the ground. Like, that's not the actions of a weak person right there. But just crazy strong. I should point out, since I'm talking about those factors about Ralph, he's really intelligent too. You might have heard those other things about Ralph's pressure, Ralph's aggression, his technique, and things like that. He's actually a really smart guy in terms of how fast he can assess situations and pick things up, not just jiu-jitsu wise. I remember one time I was giving him a tutorial on Photoshop, and I was really shocked about how fast he picked that up. But yeah, Ralph style, technical, aggressive. There's a video of Ralph rolling with Budo Jake, which was actually part of a rolled up episode with Kurt Osiander. Budo goes ahead and he rolls with various personalities he interviews, and he got to roll with Ralph. And you can tell by the look on Budo Jake's face that, you know, maybe it was a dream come true or maybe it was a nightmare come true, but it's definitely not all that fun rolling with Ralph. Although I got to say, as I was watching that, I thought Ralph was taking it easy on him. Sorry, Jake. That's just the way it goes. Coming up next, let's talk about Renzo Gracie. Now, Renzo Gracie needs no introduction, legend obviously. I got to actually roll with him way back when I was a blue belt, when I was visiting his academy, back when he had the academy that he was sharing with the Kung Fu School. The big academy that he has, like right next to Madison Square Garden, is at least 3 or 4 academies ago. The one I'm thinking of that I first rolled with him, he shared with the Kung Fu School, and there was actually like a curtain. You know, the room couldn't have been much more than 800, 900 square feet. And there was like a curtain or a bed sheet in between the mats that separated the Jiu-Jitsu school and the Kung Fu school. Back in the times when, like, in his first old school legends were training there, well before they got their black belts, and Renzo was teaching every day. And after a training session, I was rolling with a few guys. Johnny Tsunami, actually, who still trains over there. Renzo goes like, "Hey, Gumby, you want to roll?" And like, there was no way I was going to turn that down. I've often described that if you roll with Ralph, it's like being buried underneath an avalanche. Renzo was a bit more like being swept up in a tsunami. I didn't feel that same type of pressure, uncomfortableness going against Renzo, but I also didn't think I could do anything correctly against him either. He caught me up with some submissions. He was pretty creative about stuff. He moved around. tapped me a bunch. Granted, I was a blue belt at the time. I don't think it would make a huge difference right now. I haven't rolled with him really since that point. But it was a real eye-opening experience. A lot of fun to roll around with him. I'll also say something about Ralph and Renzo Gracie. They're very similar in a lot of ways. If you actually been around both people in person, or if you've seen the brothers around each other at the same time, they look more alike, they sound more alike, their mannerisms are very similar. There's no mistaking the fact that the two of those guys are brothers. One of my favorite stories about like training at Renzo Gracie's at the first time, I came in, I introduced myself, like, yeah, I trained with your brother. So of course I was welcome. It was very much a fraternal organizations, like, there was very much kind of hype between the two of us. If Ralph would go around correcting your technique, oftentimes if you didn't like what he was doing, he would just whop me on the back of the head. Hard enough that it hurt, not hard enough to concuss me or anything like that, but got me doing the technique quickly. So when I'm training over at Renzo's, Renzo showed the technique, and then we break up and we're doing it, and I hear from behind me, "Hey, Gumby." And again, that voice and the mannerisms, you can't tell it in person, but I swear I thought it was Ralph behind me. So I instinctively just throw my hands up behind my head, trying to cover myself up, getting ready for what comes next. Renzo falls over. He's laughing so hard at this point. And I swear he must have been crying as he was saying this. He's like, "Now I truly know that you train with my brother." Which brings me up to the third brother, Ryan Gracie. Now, Ryan Gracie, rest in peace, has been gone from us for a number of years right now. Ryan was the younger brother of Renzo and Ralph. Renzo was the oldest one, I should point out. And he also had a nickname of the Gracie Devil. But people forget that Ryan Gracie actually produced a lot of talent in his own right at his academy in Sao Paulo. Every now and again, Ryan Gracie would be up to the United States. Presumably something happened in Brazil that he had to kind of leave town while the heat was still on. And quite frequently he'd come over and stay over in Mountain View. I actually got to hang out with him outside of the academy a number of times. Might be a different stories. I can tell a lot of actually Ryan Gracie stories. But as far as training with him goes, might come to a surprise to a lot of people, but actually Ryan was the most pleasant guy to roll with out of the three brothers. Again, this is back when I was a blue belt or so he was really kind of just playing around and toying with me. But like, that famous, he did have the nickname Gracie Devil for a reason, but he was always really gentle with me, for lack of a better words. He could submit me when he wanted to, but more often than times he would kind of play around with position. He would toss me around a couple of places, not in a mean way. But he was shockingly nice to me, actually. It's one of the things I always kind of remember about Ryan. At any rate, if you were to ask any of the brothers, and the brothers will tell you this, who is the best one among them in terms of technique, or who's the best trainer among them, they would all kind of acquiesce to each other. Like, I remember Ralph just kind of, hold it a Renzo in really high regard, and always say like Renzo was always so much better than him. Renzo was the older brother, of course, and I know he taught the boys a lot. Renzo, for his part, always kind of downplayed it and always talked about how proud he was of Ralph and Ryan. I never really asked Ryan that question. I've seen all of them roll against each other too, but they were always like kind of very much like, if you asked him who was the best one among them, like they would always tell you that the brother was their other brother was the one. If you ever asked any of the brothers who the meanest fighter was out of all of them, you'd get the same answer, though. Flavia Gracie, their sister. The mother of Kira Gracie. Yeah. To a man, all of them would have told you the same thing, that she was the toughest one out of all of them. At any rate, this is Gumby here. I hope you enjoyed this little story. If you like it, be sure to like, share, subscribe, or comment below. I appreciate the support, and hopefully I'll see you on the mat soon. Thanks.